So, today we're looking at a book called One Day, and it's by a guy called David Nicholls, which is precisely the same name that I have. Okay, so this is someone with the same name as me, yeah? And we're going to look at tenses in this particular novel. And we're just looking at chapter 1. I try to do this so that you only have to read one chapter to understand what I'm talking about. And it's a book which is very popular, so perhaps some of you will go on to read the other chapters, but you don't have to on this course, because we're going to take different works of fiction and we'll look at different grammar topics. If I can find a lot of good examples of that grammar topic, then I will use that work of fiction. And I'm going to follow the same procedure that I followed in Master Advanced Grammar. I'm going to follow the same order of topics. So that starts with tenses. So we're going to start with tenses. And I'm going to show you that all of those rules I taught you on Master Advanced Grammar, you can see being used when you look at the tenses in any book. But certainly it's very clear in this particular book, One Day. And what I want you to first notice is that present tenses, in most cases, they represent the direct speech of Emma and Dexter to each other. They're in the dialogue, the present tenses. Future tenses are also in the dialogue between these two characters. That's when we see the present tenses and the future tenses, when Emma and Dexter are talking to each other and it's direct speech. Okay, that's when he uses present and future. But past tenses we see when the narrator starts speaking, and it's a third person narrator. We're not sure who that is, but whenever the narrator starts speaking, and I suppose it sounds like the voice of the author, David Nicholls, that's when you see the past tenses. Okay? Now let's have a look at some examples of present tenses first of all. And I want you to remember that in Master Advanced Grammar, we learned that there are 4 present tenses, or better to say that the present tense is in 4 different aspects. Present simple, present continuous, present perfect simple, and present perfect continuous. We can say the same about past tenses. We have past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous, and even future. We have future simple, will and infinitive, future continuous, will be doing, future perfect, will have done, and future perfect continuous, which is extremely rare, will have been doing. Okay, and so let's have a look at some examples in the first chapter of One Day. Now, I want you to remember that you see the simple aspect of any tense much more often than you see continuous or perfect continuous. I would say simple is usually about 90%, continuous about 5%, perfect 4 or 5%, perfect simple, and perfect continuous is extremely rare. In all 3 tenses, it's quite rare, it really is. And so I couldn't find an example in chapter 1 of present perfect continuous. There weren't any examples of present perfect continuous. Have been doing, have been learning, have been studying. There were no examples of that tense. And that should tell you something. It tells you that we don't often use it. The only time you're going to need present perfect continuous is when you say how long you have been studying English, or how long you have been working at your company, or how long you have been so how long you have been studying English, how long you've been working, how long you've been living in your town, something like that. There really are only a few situations when you need present perfect continuous, okay? And so I want you to all know that, and you really realise it when you're reading fiction. So you see simple most of the time, present simple. We're starting on present tenses, okay? And I've underlined the present tenses in blue. I suppose the most important thing is to make a difference. This is the very first sentence of chapter 1. I suppose the most important thing is to make a difference. You know, change something. What? Like change the world, you mean? Now notice that suppose, no, mean, can't believe I just said that, she says afterwards, yeah? And notice we often miss the I here. I can't believe that I just said that. But we miss the I. Can't believe I just said that. Notice that suppose, know, believe and mean are all in the simple tense, and they must be because they are 4 stative verbs.